Hello, my name is Faye, and I work for the Sargasso Sea Commission. I'm a marine research fellow there, and I've been asked to give this presentation today on the Sargasso Sea ecosystem. I live in Bermuda, so I'm really lucky in that I get to see this incredible Sargassum ecosystem up close when it washes into our shores. Bermuda is the only land mass within the Sargasso Sea, which is the only sea in the world without land boundaries. The Sargasso Sea is located in the North Atlantic Ocean, and its boundaries are defined by a series of circulating ocean currents that form the North Atlantic subtropical gyre. It's home to a unique high seas ecosystem characterized by the floating sargassum that forms sprawling mats on the surface of the water. Sargassum is a kind of holopelagic macroalgae. It floats at the surface and reproduces by fragmentation. It never attaches to the bottom at any stage in its life cycle. It's a valuable living matrix on the open Sargasso Sea, which would otherwise be this ocean desert of endless blue. The floating mats are colonized by small invertebrates and fish, and support a complex ecosystem which has been called the golden floating rainforest of the Atlantic. When many people think of the high seas, what springs to mind are iconic species like whales, marlin, and dolphins. But what I find fascinating about the Sargassum ecosystem is that it supports some of the smallest creatures that you would never think capable of living on the open sea. Sargassum supports 10 endemic species. These are small, highly camouflaged organisms specially adapted to live their whole lives within the sargassum mats on the high seas. The adaptations are enchanting. From shrimp species which mimic different parts of the sargassum algae, to the speckled swimming crab that perches among the fronds, to the bumbling sargassum nudibranch, which is golden colored and eats hydroids that grow on the algae itself. In the Caribbean, mass blooms of sargassum happen regularly. The sargassum washes in and rots on the beaches, releasing poisonous hydrogen sulfide. It also sinks to the bottom inshore, which causes problems because it smothers coral reefs and seagrass beds. In Bermuda, we don't have this same relationship with sargassum. What washes in forms part of the coastal ecosystem. As it moves over the inshore reefs, fish pick through it for all the invertebrates, larvae, eggs, and juvenile fish that colonize it on the high seas. When it washes up on shore, scavengers like crabs and birds pick through it too, and the accumulated sargassum helps to stabilize our beaches. It's important to remember that where it belongs on the high seas, sargassum is absolutely essential to support communities of marine life, forming a really important part of the life history for a lot of species. I've gotten to observe some of the incredible high seas creatures that are supported by the algae. Sometimes lined seahorses make their home in pelagic sargassum, growing fleshy protrusions to better mimic the algae. Perhaps the most iconic sargassum endemic creature is the sargassum frogfish, which has a pair of prehensile fins which it uses to walk around on the sargassum mats. Aside from the endemic species, sargassum is vital to the life histories of a wide variety of animals. Sargassum mats act as a nursery for many juvenile stage fish of great economic value and global significance, including dolphinfish, jacks, mackerel, wahoo, tuna, and billfish. It's a spawning ground for white marlin and blue marlin. And filefish, triggerfish, and tripletails are also attracted to the mats. Flying fish even make bubble nests and lay their eggs within it, which are a significant source of food for larger species. All these tiny animals that live within sargassum in turn support communities of larger fish that feed beneath it, and the National Marine Fisheries Service has designated sargassum as essential fish habitat. 4 of the 7 species of sea turtle are known to associate with sargassum. Green, hawksbill, loggerhead, and Kemp's Ridley turtles all use sargassum as nursery habitat. The huge leatherback turtle also uses the Sargasso Sea as a migratory corridor. It's thought that the open ocean provides these young turtles with a safer area to spend their early years, because there's less predators on the high seas than in inshore waters. Juveniles are extremely vulnerable, and so sargassum provides them with cover as well as food. At this age, they eat sargassum as well as the small creatures living within it and marine insects. The Sargasso Sea is also the only location that two species of anguillid eel, the American and European eel, are known to spawn. Spawning has never been observed and eggs have never been found, but the Sargasso Sea is the area where the tiniest leptocephali have been collected. Both species have a fascinating catadromous life cycle, relying on fresh and brackish waters for feeding and growing, and oceanic waters for breeding. After spawning in the Sargasso Sea, the larval eels migrate inshore up rivers to grow. When they reach reproductive maturity, which may take up to 20 years, they travel back to the Sargasso Sea to spawn before death. In terms of larger animals, the Sargasso Sea also supports a range of cetaceans and sharks. It's the only known pupping location for the endangered porbeagle shark, and it has been suggested by scientists that porbeagles might even predate on the migrating adult American eels. Tiger sharks can be seen off of Bermuda in the summer, and the Bermuda Shark Project is a significant tagging project for these sharks. Through their tagging efforts, they've presented evidence of an annual tiger shark migration from the Caribbean to Bermuda through the Sargasso Sea. The Sargasso Sea also acts as a migratory corridor for various species of rays, whales, and dolphins. Humpback whales are the most significant species, and their annual migrations from the tropics to the poles take them through the Sargasso Sea off the shores of Bermuda. They've even been observed playing in Sargassum, and they might brush up against it as a method to dislodge parasites. It's clear that the Sargasso Sea supports an incredible ecosystem, from the tiniest pelagic drifters to some of the largest marine mammals. This iconic area of the ocean, which is both economically important and populated with charismatic mega and microfauna, is without doubt deserving of robust protection.